I have one of my constituents who own a business, and he said the $10,000 that I received as a grant as a result of the CARES Act funds was literally the difference between my business not surviving and being here today.
Meet Janine Heft, Laguna Hills Mayor.
During COVID, these big box giants, people felt taken advantage of because they shut everybody else down, and they let them pretty much be the only, the Amazons of the world, the essential businesses. A lot of people felt like, this is not fair to all the local businesses that have been the true, if you will, pillars of the community.
Carl Heft, past president and CEO of Laguna Hills Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome. Hey guys, thank you so much for having me today.
Pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know how busy you guys are, and to host me here at your house, that's a great honor for me. I know we've known each other for quite a while right now. I think, Carl, I got to know you back in, I think, around late 2020 when we joined the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
Right, and since then, the mentorship and the value you've been giving me as a person, it's been priceless. And Janine, we've met the first time back in 2021 when the city had our first car show.
Yeah.
I first want to welcome you for being part of Townli Local 360. And the reason I came up with the idea of Local 360 is that we want to give people, our residents, our community, an ability to get a 360-degree view of their city by uncovering the hidden gems, connecting people with the local talent or the local business owners and the community leaders to be able to share with us their personal stories and their life experiences that will help us to gain that 360-degree view of the city. And both of you are a very special couple because you have a strong background when it comes to public service. And that's the common theme that you guys share together, which is public service. So with that, I want to start off, and I like to start off with why. Why did you choose to be in the public service sector?
Well, my husband and I met and have volunteered for different groups for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been on that side of the table where we're the ones, helping and, in politics as well, just helping, the candidates that we support. And this opportunity came when the mayor at the time, Barbara Kogerman, she was mayor back in 2016, and she basically said, I think you'd be great if you wanted to run because you have a lot of regional relationships over the years, people that you've gotten to know. And she encouraged me to run, and I did, and I won.
From 2016 up until today, any special moments, special incidents that made an impact on you as a person?
I would say, ironically, maybe not the best situation, but you make it the best, and that was 2020.
Yeah.
I was mayor in 2020,
Yeah.
and it was a really steep learning curve just to be able to go from doing what a mayor does, where you're doing, kind of a daily governing of the city and setting policy and planning and attending events, to more like helping your people survive.
Right.
Businesses, residents losing jobs. I mean, it was very sad. I remember receiving letters from different businesses around the community. The original Pancake House has been around forever.
Yes.
It's been in our community, and they were, uh, not closing their doors forever, but they were closing down, and they were a breakfast, you know,
We've been there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that kind of business, and they just had to shut their doors
Wow.
temporarily. It's like, wow, this is just terrible. These businesses, you've got people that rely
Yep.
on these jobs
Yep.
to be able to pay their bills.
Yeah.
And so it was terrible. So one of the things that myself and some of the other mayors did, we actually went to the Board of Supervisors, and we were able to um, get the CARES Act funds for our different cities to be able to help our nonprofits and our businesses. And it helped some of them literally survive. I have one um, of my constituents who owned a business, and he said the $10,000 that I received as a grant as a result of the CARES Act funds was literally the difference between my business not surviving and being here today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Carl, you, as I mentioned before, we met when you were the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and you were there for 3 years, and you're still part of the Chamber of Commerce up until today. Now, through that time, uh, what changed from the time you became a president up until today?
Well, one of my goals was to really take the chamber to the next level, and we grew incredibly fast.
Okay.
Almost so fast that we could barely keep up.
Mhm.
To hire people, to get all the vendors that would help us, both internal and external, in terms of how we can reach so many different businesses and how we can help them both on the government affairs side,
Okay.
to really give them a voice. I always say we're the union of the business owners,
Okay.
and they didn't really have anybody to speak for them at the local, county, state, and federal government. So one of the things that we did is to bring in a strong team that really has experience with government, that has also connections, so that you can pick up a phone if there's a problem with the county or a problem locally. And we've helped, and of course, with my wife's help and her colleagues in the council and the staff, there were businesses that just were hitting a wall, and they had needs, real needs that really affected them, but they just couldn't get past the bureaucracy. And so one of the things we see ourselves as a chamber, as facilitators, as 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 if you will, connectors between the decision makers at all levels of government and us. So that was one way that we really established. The other one, of course, is events. One of the things that the city was going through some budgetary difficulties. And so one of the things we decided to do is to kind of fill that void and, really build mass events that would be attractive to the city. We really wanted to put Laguna Hills on the map. So you mentioned earlier the car show,
Yeah.
where we have thousands of people coming from all over South County and beyond.
True.
Our annual gala, which recognizes the best business, best nonprofit, to really nobody had ever given an award to these businesses who,
Sure.
in some cases, been here for 30 years. Nobody has recognized them.
Yes.
And because we didn't have an infrastructure in place, and now we created one, the Moulton Award, partnering, such an honor with the Moulton family, the founding family of not just Laguna Hills, but this entire South County area,
True.
to do the annual Moulton Award for a top philanthropist or community leader that we could thank on behalf of the city, the chamber. And then, of course, the biggest thing I would say is our partnership with the city. For years, the city was on one side, the chamber were on the other side, not really working together, each doing their own thing. And now we have this marriage, literally, and by pure coincidence, I was asked to serve as president, and then my wife was elected mayor, and this was really separately, but suddenly we ended up thinking, this is a great opportunity. Let's really build a strong synergy. Let's work together. And then my successor, continued working with the city to the point we are now at City Hall with our own office in a strong relationship with the county of Orange.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime they have, and the county clerk quarters, so every time there's a new business formed, and they can have now a place to send it to. Say, hey, are you guys new in town? Go up to the second floor. The chamber will give you a welcome package. They will tell you what you need to know. They're there. There's also socially. Some people get relocated. They don't know anybody.
True.
We have
True.
a social aspect too. They can come every month to have a lunch together with us. We can help them. We can connect them, but also our existing business as well. So a sense of community, and nobody had really ever tried to do that in Laguna Hills. We are a master planned community, just like many other South County cities, and so we didn't grow organically, and so there were never the intermediate institutions that would, in a way, something neither government can do nor the individual. You need these intermediate institutions like a Rotaract, like the Kiwanis, like a Chamber of Commerce, and we didn't have any of those. So the chamber literally had to fill all those roles.
Right.
And I now can tell you, to answer your question, I think I can pretty confidently say that we've now brought the chamber to a level where we can fulfill all those roles simultaneously, which wasn't easy, but we're now both in staffing decisions, in board selections. We have everybody from the Hills Hotel to Saddleback Memorial Hospital to the Laguna Hills Mall on our board.
Okay.
So all the stakeholders in our community are all on the board, therefore helping us and the city as well. So now we can truly form a synergy with the city, the Moulton family, all the major stakeholders, the mall, the hospital, and all the other ones, to really all work together and all row together in the same direction, which is very new, and it's a huge step in the right direction.
So I'm currently a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I recently basically joined back, and I didn't know any of that. So as far as the monthly meeting, so it sounds like right now you're acting as the incubator for local businesses. Am I correct?
Yes, and
Pretty
that's
much.
a really that's a really good point. And one of the things we decided, ironically, COVID had one um, after effect, if you will, for us, and that is that we decided to start what we call lunch local. And so we basically go from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
We try to give a what I call a gastronomic tour of Laguna Hills, because a lot of people still see us as just merely a residential place, a bedroom community. But we have so many gems here, and
True. Hidden
it's so
gems.
true, right?
Yeah.
And people think they have to go to Mission Viejo, to Aliso,
Yeah.
to
I
Irvine.
want to make sure they come here.
Yes,
Exactly,
exactly. And
exactly.
so, and not realizing we have these gems that, and they can compete with any restaurant in some of these other cities.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided literally to go to every single restaurant every month, a different one, until we have hit them
Covered.
all. And people are amazed. I was personally amazed. I hadn't been in many of these, but I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why am I going up to 4 or 5 for 45 minutes,
Exactly.
when we have these wonderful
Exactly.
places right here and there.
Absolutely.
So, and that also gives a sense of community, because literally all the business owners can have lunch together, as opposed to like a typical chamber meeting where you're in a big room and you're kind of separated from each other. There's a guest speaker, which is, we all do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as a lunch local, it's more intimate. You have a bunch of different tables. People have a chance to make friendships.
True.
And you're
build
benefiting
relationships.
each of these
Yes.
Laguna Hills-based businesses,
Yes.
these restaurants.
Yes, and they
Great
all
thing.
can trade
Yeah.
businesses, and not just for the restaurant, but people realize, oh, I always needed a printer. I needed an IT guy.
Yeah.
I needed a bank. I needed a travel agent. And now suddenly we call it one-on-one. And that is, we urge each person, meet another person and go have coffee with them or something and see how you guys can trade business.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't believe how many people I have met, they have met, we all have met, that we do business now that we didn't even know existed. And a lot of times we went sometimes outside the county,
Wow.
not realizing
Wow.
we
Wow.
have them right here. We have these hidden treasures right
Like you
here.
just said, yeah,
Yeah, and our goal is to bring them to the surface.
absolutely.
So you and I have spoken before, actually many times. And one of the times we spoke, you said the word which is still rings in my ears right now, which is concept of branding the city branding. I've never heard that term before.
Yes.
So we always talk about branding an actual product, merchandise, right? But right now, looking, being a member of this community for almost 3 years now, and seeing the change that's been happening since I moved, I moved in here up until today. There's a lot of things going on, and it seems to me like this is the route you guys are taking, is how to brand the city, right? So can you elaborate more as far as, and you also, Janine, this concept of branding the city to put the city on the map?
And I think when I think of branding the city, we're really proud of our Western roots, our heritage,
Mhm.
all the different groups that came together. Carl had mentioned the Moulton family. Um, we're an equestrian city. We have about 1/3 of our city is called Nelligale, and it's an
Yeah.
equestrian community.
Mhm.
And so if you look at our city seal, you have like an eagle or a hawk and the sun, and you have somebody on a horse. And it really kind of paints the picture of our roots. And I love the idea of our seal being able to be promoted. I know we've talked about in the city, and I think this is something that's going to happen. I don't know if we'll use the seal or something else, but we're talking about redoing our street signs and
Okay.
having some sort of a branding kind of campaign there.
Okay.
We have a lot of fish to fry right now at the city, so that one is not as high on the list as it would be in a perfect world. But something like that, and also just really, putting our city on the map. One of the things I was really excited about, which finally came to fruition after a couple of years, is we established our third signature celebration for the city, and it's called Heritage Day. And
Okay.
we bring in all these different flavors of ethnicities, from the settlers to the Spanish influence,
Yep.
flamenco and
Mhm.
everything when you think of classic Spain
Yep.
and the missions, and then the Mexican influence and the Indians, and how all these groups made up
Yep.
South Orange County. And so last year we focused on the Western, and we had some folklorical dancers that came over from Mexico with their just beautiful colorful dresses and everything. And so this year we're looking to maybe focus a little bit more on the Spanish
Okay.
era. And we're just going to have almost like kind of like villages. And each year we add something, but these are opportunities for the kids and the families to come over, learn about the heritage, enjoy themselves. Participate in a chili cook-off or a, maybe pie eating contest. Do some rides and some games. Have some great food. There's family entertainment. That type of thing I think is important because we don't want to forget our heritage.
Yeah.
And we're really sitting on a really rich heritage. Louis F. Moulton came to California in 1874. He was 20 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, and Moulton Parkway is named after him. He's one of the founders.
Wow.
And it's pretty amazing to be able to understand that. And kids, when they're fourth or fifth grade, they learn California history. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the things we wanted to do is kind of disabuse people of the notion that these are all, brand new planned communities and tracts, endless tracts, urban sprawl, and that there was nothing here prior to 1991. And a lot of people think South County is kind of like a artificial creation that, was built by developers. There is no history. Well, in fact, quite the opposite.
Right.
In fact, and people are shocked to this, they think that, things started in LA and in North County, and then slowly in 1990s, because nothing was here. We're on
Right.
the hills. People feel that we're the newest part, and therefore we don't really have a heritage or anything like that. Quite the opposite. In fact, what most people don't realize, South County is actually the oldest part of all of California.
Wow.
In fact, when
Because of the mission.
yes,
The
because
mission
when
of
the
You're
the
right, right.
Spaniards, when the
Yes.
Spaniards arrived,
Yes.
one of the first buildings in California, period, was, of course, the mission at San Juan Capistrano.
Hmm.
And at that time was Father Serra who built that.
Okay.
And eventually the early Spanish explorers like Gaspar de Portola. Therefore, you get Portola Parkway,
I see.
high school, and whatnot.
I see.
They came in the 1700s. This is before the United States was a country.
Yeah.
And the Spanish were already here, and they built El Camino Real. That was the first street in California, connecting where now
Oh, the
PCH,
mission.
you know, most of
Yeah.
it is PCH, and some
All
areas
right,
it is still El
right,
Camino
right.
Real.
Oh my
And
God.
so we here have some of the first land grant from Don Juan Avila, coming from Avila
Avila.
Road, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, if you go to City Hall, we have Statuary Hall where you have the whole history of that.
Yeah.
And so what I realized, oh my goodness, nobody knows about this. They think
Exactly.
these are just endless, planned communities. Well, in fact, we have some amazing things. We have the official land grant, the Spanish land grant for not just Laguna Hills, but Aliso Viejo and El Toro and Laguna Niguel, all the way to Dana Point and even Laguna Beach.
Yeah. Were you at the grand opening of the Molten Museum?
No,
last
I wasn't
year?
here, unfortunately.
So it was last September,
Yeah.
and it's just a treasure trove of heirlooms and all sorts of history from this area, because it's all about the Moulton family
Mhm,
and just how everything came to be. So,
And this was, and also a lot of people don't know this, but where we are sitting right now, this was part of Europe. This was Spain, and it was under the King of Spain.
Spain.
And yes, and so these
Interesting.
were all territories. Would be just like if you lived in Europe, right here,
Yeah.
with their laws, including things like community property, which we still have from California. We inherited from them,
We did.
Mhm.
and it was Spanish till 1821. And then it became briefly Mexican territory from 1821 to, I believe, 1846.
Okay.
And then it went to the United States. And so we realized that we had multiple areas. And then, of course, my wife and I were able to meet with the Achaman Indians. And of course, they were even here before. They have their own histories, and they were located in some of these areas. So this very new area has the
It's
Indian
very old.
era, the Spanish era,
Wow.
the Mexican era, the ranch era, the Western, as you can imagine, was cowboys and ranches
Settling, yeah.
and settlements and
Mhm.
whatnot, all the way to the modern day Laguna Hills that was founded in 1991. And we realized we have to preserve that history.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
working with the Moulton Museum, the city, the chamber, we founded Heritage Day to celebrate the rich history that we have here. And then, of course, the Moulton family were so gracious as to put their own money into an endowment to create the Moulton Museum
Yeah.
off in Cabot Road. Please come and visit it. All your viewers, it's
Mhm.
going to be fantastic. It's a trip back in time.
Yep.
And
Real
fantastic. And
artifacts.
they're doing school. They're setting up field trips for different
Wow,
schools.
amazing,
And
okay.
they have augmented reality exhibits. I mean, it's the kind of
Really?
stuff you would see at the
Wow.
Smithsonian, some
Pretty
of their
amazing.
technology right here in Laguna Hills. So we're very proud of that. And that's when we talk about branding the city, and this is something we came up last year, is the past, the present, and the
The
future.
future, yeah.
The past is the rich heritage, the present, helping the businesses building up, and the future,
Mhm.
seeing high tech companies, seeing the future companies. We always talk about Irvine, Greater Irvine being Silicon Valley
Yeah.
South. And so we hope that Laguna Hills will be
Yes.
like the Atherton to Silicon Valley,
yeah.
where we
I
can
like to
have a
say
lot of young entrepreneurs thinking a couple of them,
Yeah.
who would basically choose Laguna Hills to live,
Yep.
build their dreams,
Mhm.
and hopefully build the new technologies that will revolutionize America and the rest of the world right here from Laguna Hills, because we are the incredible proximity we have to Irvine, which is the leader in high-tech.com, biotech, really across the United States now, and including Broadcom, the pioneer in literally high-speed internet. Our
Yep.
entire world literally now rotates around the internet.
Sure.
So we have local examples of how you can make a difference.
Sure. All right. So here's the one thing that I really love about this conversation so far is the passion. You guys bring a lot of passion that is just admires me. And every time you and I actually sit down and talk, we come up with nice ideas and I mean I sense the passion, and this passion is actually what drives me and gives me hope that we are on the right track and we are pursuing the change we're trying to make at the right place, because I believe myself that any dream, anything you want to do, it's gonna be accomplished unless you are surrounded by the right people
Absolutely.
that share the same values and that share the same uh, dreams and hopes, right? And that's why, honestly, I feel very fortunate that uh, when I decided to pursue my dream is to basically start it here in Laguna Hills.
Maybe we're very fortunate to have you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So my next topic, which is what's going on with Laguna Hills? What are some of the exciting projects that are going on? I see a lot of activities going on over the last probably year and year and a half.
Yes,
So-
I can kind of share with you. Probably the biggest question that I get asked is what's going on with the Laguna Hills Mall.
Yes.
And so at one time that was about 900,000 square feet or so of just a pure mall. And as we know, unfortunately, I'm a mall girl. I remember going to the mall, and that was what I did as a young girl with my friends. But that's just, not the way things are today. Everything's going, internet based, the Amazon Prime and everything. And so because of that, malls have just kind of, they can't keep up, competition wise. And so what's happened is that we were able to pass a project that has a component of apartments. It's called mixed use apartments, so units, retail, and office.
Okay.
And it's going to be very, very modern. You're going to have an amphitheater. You're going to have like paseos. I think like a running river going through it. So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to have lots of walking space. We're going to have a state-of-the-art movie theater, kind of like a Cinépolis, where you pick your seat and have a glass of wine.
Like a
and
luxury,
really enjoy.
cinema.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to also have a beautiful boutique hotel.
Okay.
About 200 up to 250,000 square feet of retail, looking to get some of the most cutting edge, both restaurants and stores and different places that will really draw people. And then office space, maybe something that's biotech, cutting edge, something that we want to be a draw for some of these avant-garde companies.
Okay.
It's probably going to be some time before we see that, though. They've done the demolition. They've finished pretty much the demolition of everything above ground, and now they're working on kind of gutting everything underneath, and then they need to start to plan it accordingly with all of the different connections and utilities and all, plumbing, all the things that have to be the underpinning of what we see on top.
Right.
So that is the Villages at Laguna Hills project, and we're probably, if we're super lucky, 18 months, but my guess is probably 24 months away from when we really start to see some construction. So the good news about that is that the mall had just kind of sat there for the longest time, and the owner, who was Simon, who also owned Mission Viejo, they put all the money in Mission Viejo, and they let Laguna Hills languish. And unfortunately, it needed a facelift. It needed a makeover.
Absolutely.
So I think to be able to have something beautiful to see when we're one of the main gateways coming into South Orange County, that's a good thing. On the horizon, as far as new businesses coming into town, the one I'm very excited about is Amazon Fresh. That is something that will be taking the place of Dick's Sporting Goods, right at the corner across from Wendy's, off of Hahn and Alicia, right by the freeway. And We just heard great things about Amazon Fresh and what the shopping experience is like, and how it's just very, modern, and
Yeah,
how I think you throw things in the cart and it knows what it is and it
Yep.
can add it up for you. You'd love that.
Yeah.
Verbal cards.
Technology, yeah, it's pretty amazing. The other thing is we're getting an REI, and that's a sporting goods place, which it has a following. People will drive 2 hours to get to one, depending on where they're
Okay.
from. It's very, very popular. So we're really excited about that. That's actually going to go where Marshall's is over at Oakbrook, Plaza,
Okay.
Oakbrook Village,
Okay.
which is over by Trader Joe's.
Yep.
And then
But we're not losing Marshalls. That's the good news. They're
exactly.
just relocating.
So Marshall's is actually going to relocate right next to Amazon Fresh.
So where Big Lots used to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's even better.
Yeah. And then we have some other places that we're looking at, some smaller, maybe boutique, either restaurants or stores.
Uh-huh.
We'll see what ends up coming around there. I know we have the one across the street that I'm going to be definitely pushing for a good restaurant. There was a place called Plant Power that they just weren't able, unfortunately, to get the financing.
Okay.
So we're looking to hopefully approve something on the council that will just bring people to the city, and people coming off the freeway, that'll be a destination place for them. And that's what we want Laguna Hills to be. We want it to be a destination place. We want people to come here, for the different businesses, for, entertainment, for, and make this just a beautiful city and a place that people desire to be in.
Yeah, and not just a city that where we have enough, I guess, for our own residents, but in the past, people would leave our residents would leave our city to go to other cities.
True.
Not only to
yeah.
bring them back and have them, eat local, dine local, shop local, but also to be an attraction for other cities to actually reverse the process. Instead of us going everywhere else except us,
Yeah.
actually have people come to us from
Yeah.
other surrounding cities and
True.
become a hub. We used to be the regional hub. The Laguna Hills Mall was the first mall in the entire area. There was no Mission View
Built
Mall.
in the
There was no
mid-70s.
Spectrum.
Wow.
We were the first in Laguna Hills as the gateway to South Orange County. As my wife, always reminds folks that we are right here. We're right past Irvine. This is the beginning of South County. And we had a central role, and we lost that over the years as other newer communities started to come to the surface.
Yeah.
And so
So working
we're now bringing
reviving
back
that. Yes.
the glory days of,
Yes.
of Laguna Hills
Yes.
and really becoming once again a hub for so many different reasons to come to our city.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So as far as the Laguna Hills, the new Laguna Hills village.
Mm-hmm. Village of
So
Laguna
the
Hills.
village of the Laguna Hills, yeah. You mentioned that the actual construction won't start for another 2 years or so,
Most
probably.
likely, yeah.
So
Permits,
All-
just all the things that
Sure.
come with construction.
roughly, when do we expect to see something actually out there?
I would say maybe 36 months. I know that we were very careful in the city to make sure, because of the new infrastructure coming in, and we would be obviously bringing new people living
True.
in the city.
Mhm.
So we're going to need to be able to support them financially,
Mhm.
with all the different, first responders and all the different things
True.
that just come with having population increase. And so the hotel needs to be up and running before the developer will get their fourth certificate of occupancy on a building. So we've been putting protections in that way to make
Okay.
sure so. And also, at the same time, I've had some conversations with developer, and we'd like to see the retail, so people can come and experience that. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a situation where we just built their apartments and everything kind of sat around. So I
True.
was very specific about that. I want to make sure that the residents are going to get something back to benefit them, for them to be able to enjoy, the shopping experience, the dining experience,
Mhm.
just enjoy the beautiful. There's going to be a park, about a 3-acre park, and it's going to be something that hopefully just beyond Laguna Hills, people will want to come.
And the good news is that it's built in phases.
Yeah.
So it's
That was
not
my-
like they have to spend years and years building it, and we have to wait. But they're going to build phases that they're going to
Mhm.
open. Then one more they're going to open, a little bit like at the Spectrum, where they started opening already the first phase, then they built the second phase,
Sure.
and we opened that one. So the good news is in the next 3 years, we should start seeing
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. And I'm
And,
hoping simultaneously
yeah,
too. So you'll be seeing the retail and the hotel and everything as well
and the
as
restaurants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the goal would be to have a continuous growth and continuous new things added.
Mhm.
Wow, so 3 years. I was under the impression it would be a lot longer than that. 3 years, that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that would be just to start.
To start, of course.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the
Phase one.
offices are phase 2.
Okay.
And I can't necessarily say that everything the way it's been agreed to will be the way it actually ends up being.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times things change just because needs change. Maybe companies that had agreed for whatever reason, you know, time goes on and maybe they make different plans.
They may want
So
to
we
have
don't know.
less office, more retail, or less housing,
Right.
and more office. As the market changes, you know,
Absolutely.
obviously
I see.
the idea is the developer and the city working together to adjust to make sure that there is a market for it, and
Yeah.
at the same time, again, the goal always is to put the residents first,
We're
to
working
make sure
very
that
carefully.
they have right,
Very,
that
very,
they have
very closely, yeah.
you know, there is a benefit to the city of Laguna Hills.
Yeah, we're working very carefully and closely with them because we just want to make sure that what they really come up with is going to benefit the city. And that's really the bottom line.
So I know that to reach to this point, it wasn't easy.
It was very difficult.
Exactly. What happened?
Well, what happened was we were looking at an economic issue.
hmm
If they were to bring in, you know, the extra, say, 4,000 people, and we weren't able to handle that economically, that could
Sure.
have been very distressing for our city
hmm
financially.
You need extra police, extra
And-
firefighters,
Mhm.
extra services,
Course.
traffic,
Course.
street maintenance, and so
And we have to be able to pay for that. We can
Yeah.
always bring that in, but you know, our sheriff's contract is one of the most expensive. It is the most expensive, hands down, thing that we have as far as a budget item in our city.
we're talking increasing the population of our city by 10%.
Wow.
That's
Just
huge.
about, yeah,
Yeah.
actually maybe more.
So
Yeah, and a little over 10%. And so we had to come to a decision. And one of the things I was looking at was, well, you know, we could maybe say, no, we don't want this and push back. And as a city, you know, try to have something more like the mall, which is what a lot of people wanted. They wanted their mall. They maybe a nicer mall, a newer mall, but they wanted a mall. They didn't want the mixed use project. And so we had to look at that. But one of the things I was looking at is, well, what if we got to the end 5 years down the road and maybe we won, maybe we went through this. But the people in Laguna Hills are standing there watching these buildings decay in front of them, look terrible. It's a blight. And I actually spoke to a lot of people that said, yeah, I'm just tired of it. Because the developer bought the Laguna Hills Mall in 2013. It took 9 years since they purchased it to actually have a project that was approved that they moved forward on. Because they had an approved project back in 2016. They knocked down Sears and stopped. And told us they were going to have a strategic pause. Strategic pause. And we kind of went back and forth for several years and nothing happened. So this happened March of 22 was when it was approved. And now they are moving forward.
So what was the cause of the 9 year delay?
Maybe they found themselves kind of in between a rock and a hard place between what the plan was in 2016 was like a 850,000 square foot huge, you know, new and vibrant mall, and the fact that they didn't think it would pencil out financially when it all came down to it because they just couldn't compete with the internet commerce.
I see.
And yet it was the timing and a lot of hesitation.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on retail. Ironically, what COVID might have done is people were so sick and tired of being at home and ordering stuff online that the mayor actually said, you know what, I never want to go back to those days. I was so sick and tired of being at home and having to order everything online. I never
Order a
get
pair
to
of
see everybody.
shoes, and do you
That
know if
now
they're going
people
to
say,
fit?
oh, I can actually walk around in a beautiful mall, look at things,
Yes.
meet people, eat
Yes.
something new. So I think, if anything, there might be a renaissance
Mm.
for local businesses, local malls, and because during COVID, these big box giants, people felt taken advantage of because they shut everybody else down,
Oh, yeah.
and they let them pretty much be the only, the Amazons of the world,
The essential.
essential businesses. And a lot of people felt like, this is not fair to all the local businesses that have been the true, if you will, pillars of the community for all these years, and are there for Little League, for the Chamber of Commerce, for they participate, not some far away, publicly traded corporation somewhere on the
Huge
East
corporation,
Coast, but
right,
local
right.
people, families that we go to school with their kids,
Mhm.
I have one of our board members, she literally went to school with a lot of the people who are now the business owners who run the city. There is a community, there is a history. And I think that because of COVID, and the excesses of COVID and the big box companies, is that there is a return to the local, to the privately owned, and to the community. And I think that that is the perfect time for what my wife was saying, is to bring that back, a place we can walk around, we can bring the whole family, you can sit outside, we will have beautiful new restaurants, and also places, restaurants that we may have not heard of, but they're a huge hit in other
Right.
parts of the country.
We've been kind of
Yeah.
scouting.
And we want to be the first. We want Laguna Hills to be the first to have some of these amazing, and we've seen personally, Janine and I have looked at some absolutely amazing for behalf of the
You're
chamber and the
phenomenal. We
city.
have a friend of ours, and I'm thinking this could be fantastic. It's like kind of that, what is it called? It's the phenomenon where you have like the broth and you have meats, and then you have like a salad bar kind of effect. It's called all that. What's it called? All that shabu. It's called all that shabu, and it's like shabu shabu, which is it's a Japanese type of cuisine, and it's fantastic because it's like literally all you can eat. You pile up all the vegetables you want, and then you cook the meat inside the broth, and it's packed. There's one in Irvine, absolutely packed all the time.
And it's a whole style of
Yeah.
making food, and then also entertainment. We've seen some amazing indoor golf places,
Oh,
indoor, amazing high-tech bowling places, the kind of stuff that you have not seen unless you go to LA or maybe even the East Coast. And again, the goal is to bring, not to be the same strip mall that you have in every corner of the United States. We want to bring in places that are where people will drive. My wife said, where people will drive 1 or 2 hours from LA, from San Diego, and say, we got to come to Laguna Hills, because the first and only entertainment place or restaurant or whatnot is in Laguna Hills. We got to go there.
We want to be a destination location.
Yeah.
Amazing. So speaking of the COVID, so actually right now people are looking for an experience. It's like what you said. They got sick and tired of staying at home in front of their screens to order stuff, things like that. Now they're hungry for new experiences, and it looks like we're definitely on the right track to be able to attract those kind of businesses that will help us to offer that kind of experience. And one of the things that I came across actually that hit me the most about COVID was that I didn't know that in America we have about 32 point probably 5 million family-owned businesses. 32.5 million family-owned businesses.
See, that's
That's
the heartbeat.
families.
These small businesses to me are the heartbeat of America. That's what makes us so unique. You have the opportunity that you don't have in a lot of other countries.
And in 2020, I also was shocked to know that almost 1/3 of those were completely gone. 1/3.
it was almost like a monopoly, just wiped out the competition. It was terrible.
Exactly. So when I keep thinking about this myself, that's close to 10 to 11 million families. And each family, imagine how many people. So we're talking about millions of people.
How many jobs?
How many jobs?
And
Exactly.
livelihoods and
Exactly.
life, blood, and sweat thrown into that. Here's the
Exactly.
community
Life
feeling,
savings.
life savings. In many places, people would go, three generations would go to that restaurant, that
Yep.
store.
Yep.
They would know the people there, all
Mhm.
wiped away for very impersonal, large corporations who look the same everywhere. Nobody knows who owns them, and they pay, minimum wages or whatnot. And that's not the American dream.
No, that's not.
And I
Definitely
think that my hope is that this terrible experience, if there's one positive thing came out, is that people realized what the ultimate consequence is of heading in that direction.
Yep.
An atomized, uh, deracinated population living in their homes, divided among themselves, atomized, where
Not very
basically
many good
no
things
more
came out.
community, no more community, and with a few corporations controlling the whole economy. And I
True.
think that that is something
Yeah.
that people instinctively are saying, no, that's not the future we want for our nation. The future is to what always has been the American dream, a couple opening their first store and maybe a second and a third, and being part of the community, giving back to the community. You're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and you know how many people we have who donate, who give to the Little League, who
Yeah.
sponsor, grad night at the high school. These are people who live among us. This
Of
is
course.
not some hedge fund out in Wall Street. These are real people who live among
True.
us, who actually care, who actually, you see them volunteering at Heritage Day, at our 4th of July. You see them with their family.
Mhm.
That's what the American dream is, that everybody has a chance
Yeah.
to make something for themselves, and
Yeah,
we
we
hope
have
to bring that back.
We have a lot of passionate people here in Laguna Hills. It's funny, ever since I've become an elected official, I've really met a lot of people that tell me how long they've lived here,
Yeah.
40 plus years
Yeah.
with their families. They've raised their families. Their kids went to the local high school. It's like this is home for them, and they love the city. I see that. I see that actually with Orange County cities in general. People grow up in a city and they love it.
They love it. Exactly.
It's great. And I feel like
Exactly.
we need to be doing that and making sure we're giving back in every way we can.
Exactly.
And as an elected official, I want to make sure I'm doing that and I'm representing, my 32,000 or so residents, constituents that live here, and giving back. It's definitely it's a service oriented job. You're serving your community.
And it's amazing the longevity when I talk to people, how I've been here since 1971, 1973, 1975.
Yeah.
I grew up here. I went to Valencia or Laguna Hills High. My kids went there, and they graduated from there. They're going to start family. Their kids might be back here.
Exactly.
And they never moved.
Yeah.
And so there's something special about this city, and it needs to, just like the mall needed a little facelift and a little TLC and a little modernization, we got to do that for the whole city. And branding is one thing, opportunities and is another thing,
Exactly.
and as well as a sense of community. And I think that by the city, the Moulton family, the chamber, the Laguna Hills High, who has really become also working. They used to be a huge hub, and working together with all of us.
Speaking of Laguna Hills High, not a lot of people know that they became the state champions in varsity football last year. They had 16 games. They only lost one. They won 15 out of 16 games. They beat Bellarmine Prep, which is a really formidable school up in San Jose, and they became the state champs. And I think they are only the fourth school in Orange County, all the schools in Orange County to have ever done this.
Wow.
So it's a huge thing because we're a fairly small town.
It is. We are.
And so that was something we were very proud of. We had a huge celebration in May. We had all the football players. They received different certificates from elected officials, from Congress to state, Senate, Assembly, all the way down to City Council. We presented the uh, high school principal and the coach with the key to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really just good feeling. You have people that came to that, their kids went to Laguna Hills High School maybe, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they wanted to participate because this is part of their community.
Of course. Of
And
course.
the other thing is to also leverage the fact that we're in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't know this, but Orange County is a population. We're larger than San Francisco. We're larger than Miami. We're larger than Dallas. We're the sixth most populous county in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this amazing possibility of the fact that we got two big cities, LA and San Diego.
In between.
We have in between. We can go south an hour, north in an hour. We have an ideal location, an ideal weather, an ideal beautiful landscaping and natural resources. So we really have no excuse to not shine and Laguna Hills being beautifully located right at the gateway of South Orange County, 10 minutes from the beach, right on the 5 freeway. We have 5 exits. I mean, usually huge mega, cities have 5 freeway exits. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So that means commerce. That means people can easily come. We have enormous opportunities, and I would just say we are kind of a diamond in the rough that it just waits to be polished, rediscovered, and possibly become, a true hub for South Orange County and the rest of Orange County, and hopefully with everybody pulling together now, with all the different stakeholders working in one direction, we'll be able to do that. And this might take years and years after both on the chamber will have new leadership, the city will have new leadership, but the goal was to get the ball rolling in the right direction, and hopefully we've been able to play a small part in getting the ball rolling.
Yes.
After all this time.
Yeah, so speaking of Orange County, it's definitely a unique place. My wife and I, we, as a matter of fact, over the last probably 17, 18 years, and that's a fun fact about me and my family, we moved out in about 13 times.
Hi.
It's crazy, yes. We've been all over the place. So we've seen a lot.
Are you putting roots down here?
Actually, after this long journey, we realize Orange County is definitely the ideal place to raise a family. There's no doubt. It's exactly like what you said. Yeah, I mean, we love it. I don't imagine myself, or my wife does not imagine herself actually living anywhere outside of South Orange County. As a matter of fact, we lived in LA, we lived in other places, but this is definitely a unique place. And speaking about the concept of giving back, the statistics actually says that those local business owners tend to give back 250% more than the big box stores do for our community. That's 250% more. It's exactly for the reason you said, because it's a sense of community, a sense of they want to give back to the community, because when the community grows, they will also grow. So it's like a circle, pretty much, that we all need to be part of, and we all need to realize that it's not just about me. It's always about the people around you, the people that live around you. Even though, and this is I think one of the downside of technology right now is, me personally, I don't believe community is as connected as it used to be before. And I remember one of the one-on-ones that I used to have when I started joining the Chamber of Commerce. Remember, we had those one-on-ones, and it was always something that we urged, hey, let's have one-on-one, let's have coffee, and that was all definitely remote. One of the one-on-ones that I had it was funny that she was sharing story about her when she was young, that back then, if she goes to a store and she does something, she knew, and that was a while back, before technology. She knew that her parents would know what she did before she even gets home. That's how connected the community and the businesses and the local businesses. You know what I mean? It was just basically, it wasn't just they didn't act as if, yeah, I'm a business and you are a resident or you are my customer. No, they
Kind of a
all act
small town.
exactly. Yeah. So that sense of community,
Yeah.
knowing one another, building trust, this is something that definitely we need to try to revive again.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. Now, I'd like to move on to my my favorite topic, which is shed the light more on local businesses, more and more. Given your time so far as you've been interacting a lot with local businesses, what do you think the biggest challenges that they've been having over the past few years?
I think the biggest challenge, obviously, COVID was devastating.
Yeah,
And now I think there is an opportunity for the reasons I mentioned that people do want to connect more. There is a human beings have a deep need for socialization. We are social beings at our core,
Mhm.
and this dystopian future of the movie Surrogate, where people would never leave their homes anymore,
yeah,
that they would just live their life, virtually,
Wow.
and would have machines, doing everything for them, is dystopian. It's actually, a scary future, and
sure,
and I think we've tasted a little bit in COVID.
right,
And so I think there is an opportunity for local businesses, but I think the challenge for them is that they will have to put their best foot forward. I think the past of just having, a store and people will come is not enough. It needs to be, as you said, an experience.
exactly,
And technology, like it or not, and there's Luddites on one hand, and there is, people love technology on the other. And I would say that most people are probably in the middle,
yeah,
in which they say they use technology not for the sake of itself, but because it's a tool. And
exactly,
technology is with us. It's not going away. It's there, and it's a bigger and bigger part of our lives.
true,
And so what small and medium-sized businesses have to do is to have to leverage technology to compete with the big boxes,
exactly,
with the big stores, with the huge, massive chains. And I think technology is the missing element for them to reach parity with them, offer the same experience, the same speed,
yeah, yeah,
as the big guys, the same versatility.
mm-hmm,
And I think the key will be for small businesses and medium-sized businesses that they need to be on one of these.
yeah,
They need to have apps. They need to be integrated in some form of a system that allows people to communicate with them digitally.
okay,
And I think the businesses that either create a system of their own or take advantage of new systems that will be available to them to create the same, if you will, virtual store or virtual marketplace.
right,
I think those businesses will thrive, and uh, all small and medium-sized business owners need to really look out there and find solutions
Yeah.
that will give them that ability. And if they
To
do
have
that,
that edge.
yeah, if they do that, you could see a new renaissance of local businesses and small businesses, because they have now essentially captured the if you will, the wave, the technological
true,
wave. And people will find out, if you have the same technology, but you also have friendliness and service and community,
True.
Big
then guess
difference.
what? Why would you ever go to a
Right.
gigantic impersonal place, you know?
Right.
But instead, you want to go to them, because guess what? You are now at par with them. You don't lose anything, but you gain all the
Right.
community-based, benefits that we talked about.
Yeah, and I said, just like I said earlier, the small businesses, they're the backbone, they're the heartbeat of America.
exactly.
I mean, I love our small businesses.
But you hit it on the head right now. But if you put yourself in the shoes of those small business owners, now their biggest challenge is resources. They are so good at what they do as far as the service they provide. If they own a restaurant, if they have a retail store, so they're very good at. That's why they opened up that business, because this is what they are good at. But when it comes to technology and the technology adoption, that's a whole different ballgame. Now, in that sense, what is it we need to do to be able to make them part of that game?
I think education is the key, is to be able to connect with them, to educate them to the need of upping their game technology wise, and to have new solutions such as Townley, would come to mind, that says, hey, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to
Right.
go into R&D. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to think of some custom legacy technology to use
Right.
when there is technologies out there like Townley that do that for you, and they will put you at par with the big guys. And all you have to do is just sign up and be able to leverage that technology that is given to you. They're already doing everything for you. All you have to do is just sign up and to learn how to use the system, and then learn to use it to your advantage.
And I would add to that. I would say that there's always an exchange when it comes to business, and time is money. So
Right.
if you can have some sort of a technological tool that can help you, maybe you spend a little money for that, but if it gives you the ability to use your time more efficiently and be more productive, and because of that, be more profitable, then that's worth it. I mean, and people need to understand that. I think sometimes you have the old-fashioned mom and pop businesses, well, this is how we do it. I write my check every month,
Exactly.
kind of thing. And
Exactly.
yeah, you definitely have to, I guess, kind of keep up with the Joneses when it comes to that, when it comes to competition.
And
But if
adapt
they
to
can
the
see the
times.
beauty, yeah, absolutely.
So me personally, I started this journey to actually connect with small businesses over the last 2 years, and
And we own a small business, so we're not just talking about other
Yeah.
businesses.
Perfect.
We own a
So
Yeah,
this is not
exactly.
just a
Yes.
theoretical.
Theoretically, you lived it.
We lived
And as a matter of fact, I actually lived it myself as well. My wife and I tried about 5 years ago or so. We tried to actually start our own business, and we were able to sustain it for 1 year. But the thing is, we lived experience from A to Z. So I'm not here because it's a theory. It's something that we lived, we experienced, we've seen the pain that every single business owner goes through.
Especially in 2020 and 21.
Absolutely, and that's why when the COVID restriction was lifted and we were able to leave the home for a few hours, I will never gonna forget the scene when I was walking down and seeing cities, or they were basically ghost towns,
Yes.
and it was the scariest moments of my life. And because seeing an empty place, you keep thinking about, well, that place used to have souls in it. You used to have people in it. People are living in it. Now it's just a deserted place. So what makes a city alive? It's the people in the city. So and again, it also brings memories that I've been through myself, seeing starting something and then you have to shut it down because of limited resources, right? And so one of the things that I noticed, especially after COVID, was that when you go and you try to talk to those business owners, you see a lot of pushback because of what they have been experiencing. A lot of them feel like they've been taken advantage of, and I've been hearing that a lot. I think that's one of the hurdles that uh, company like Townley, it's trying to make a change, a true change when it comes to experiencing local and shopping local and all that. But at the same time, seeing that pushback because of the fear of it's just another company that's coming in trying to take a piece of my business. So when it comes to education, what do you suggest as far as making those business owners understand the value, and that uh, this is the only way for them to be part of the game and to step their game a bit?
Well, I think seeing is believing. A lot of people are very visual. They need to, it's hard to just do it on a conference call or on
Sure.
an email. You basically have to say, hey, this is your company right here. People are using this little device for everything.
Mhm.
You could be right here without having to invest, a
Same.
ton of money to do this. And you be with all these other companies, and people can now very quickly make their orders, you know, without ever having to, worry about the logistics of it. And I think, there is something called, I used to be an underwriter for startup companies at
Okay.
AIG. And so, they always say if you learn at AIG, you can pretty much, know everything about startups because they would just make you work and work and work.
Yeah.
I remember when I started there, and I said, "So when does my training start?" And everybody started laughing, and I said, "Well, what's so funny?" He says, "You want training? You really want training?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Here you go, boom, like a stack like this of folders." He says, "And there's more where this came from." And so I'm like, "Okay."
Tough
So
company.
tough company, tough place. But guess what? You just did it over and over. One startup, and of course, I was the new guy, so they gave me all the startups
That's
because
heavy
back then
lifting.
in the 2000s, nobody wanted them. Everyone wanted the nice blue chip companies.
Yeah.
And .com, they didn't even know. A lot of these guys had been in the industry decades. They didn't know what that was.
Right.
So the new guy gets all the stuff that we don't know here. You do it. And well, that gave me an understanding of startup companies. And one of the things that is important, is of course, why I feel so strongly about startup companies here in Laguna Hills, because these little companies that nobody except me, had to work on, eventually, some of these literally changed our world to
Right.
the point where now everything goes through that. So these local companies, I think what they have to do is they have to realize that this is now running our world, and they have to make a choice. They will be left behind
It is true. Well,
unless
they
go into the system.
think about the Blockbuster.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
They did
couldn't
not
keep
want
up
to adopt,
with the
and
times.
when
Exactly.
Netflix started coming, they could have converted to digital. They had a much
Just like that.
larger library,
Just like
but they
that.
chose not to. And so
Exactly.
the case I would make to owners is to say, listen, guys, you guys are getting squeezed out by the technological curve.
Yep.
You need to adopt now, and right now you have an opportunity to be there ahead of the curve, and try it for a little while and see how it works. And they have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
True.
Yeah,
True.
and that's why I'm such a big fan of Townley, because I think myself, if I had a small business, an ice cream parlor, a restaurant, a shop, and I wouldn't even have Generation X guy. I didn't grow up with apps and stuff like this. I have no idea how to program one. I don't know who to call even to make me one. And how do I know it's not a scam? Somebody's going to charge me tens of thousands of dollars, and then they're going to build me a system that doesn't work, which happens all the time.
True.
And so the fact that you have a one-stop shop, a system that allows you basically to do all the things that you need to do to be
Yes.
competitive, I think is wonderful.
Yeah, and you just made me think of something, and that is like one of my husband and I would really like to go to a place called Urban Plates.
Yep.
And during COVID, we decided, Urban Plates, that's great. Why don't we'll order it, we'll bring it for the kids and everything, this will be nice. It was the most expensive meal, and we thought, isn't that the place that based its, kind of business model on great, amazing food, casual atmosphere, so, it's not the
Reasonable
fancy,
pricing.
Right.
very reasonable pricing. And then we discovered that they build a lot of added costs
Yeah, when we
into
came,
it, not just the delivery fee, but they actually up the price of the meals themselves.
Yep.
That if you went to Urban Plates,
Yep.
it would be a lot less expensive.
Yeah, how we
I
found
was
out
surprised
is
about
that we actually, when it reopened, I said, finally we can go there. I say,
Yeah, we
well,
weren't thinking
their
about
prices have gone up way much, but
Yeah.
let's go there anyway.
Yeah.
And then we go there, and the prices were pretty much the way we
same.
remembered them.
Yep.
And we're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Why did we pay so much money? And then we realized, it was the delivery service.
Yeah.
Not
They put a
only
premium.
they charged
Premium.
the, obviously the delivery fee, which, we understood we had to pay for the convenience of having it home. But we realized that the menus suddenly were augmented by 10, 20, 30%.
Yeah.
And suddenly realizing on top of the fee and all the other fees
Well,
involved.
they were making a lot of
And
profit.
suddenly we realized, wow, that is a huge difference. And, I will mention the names, but those are all the different delivery companies
We can think of something.
that,
Yeah.
I guess, make this, almost prohibitive if you're for your average family. And so I think that a system that would not charge these kind of exorbitant fees, but still give people the convenience of delivery, I think would be very successful.
Yeah, do you remember when you and I had lunch a couple months ago at the Greek Bistro,
Yes.
right? And we spoke for like 45 minutes, and we kind of got a good idea of how things work. So, thing is, some business owners tend to eat up the 25-30% that they have to pay to get the food delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them say, you know what, I can only do like probably half, and I have to pass the rest on the customer. And some other business, you know what, I don't. If you want your food delivered, I'm gonna pass all of the 30% on you. And so they mark up the price by 30%, 25 to 30%. That's how it works. That way, they don't have to pay anything to the delivery company, and that's why the cost of the meal will end up being 50 to 100% more.
Wow.
That's how it is, and I've seen lots and lots of people going in showing this is my receipt. This is if I walked in versus this is if I order it.
Yeah,
So,
we noticed it ourselves, and we
So-
had no idea until we walked into the restaurant and realized their prices hadn't really changed.
it
from-
doesn't change.
and suddenly realized, wow, this place is still a good deal. And we would have almost no longer gone there because we just realized, my gosh, their prices are crazy now. And then we realized, oh no,
They haven't changed
it's
at all.
not the restaurant. They're fine. It's
Right.
the delivery service
But
that increased.
The thing is, you also have to look at it from the especially the food business. Food business is one of the businesses that makes the least amount of profit margin. The profit margin is between 7 to 10%.
Interesting.
That's about it. So if they're gonna be paying 25%, they're gonna be at loss, right? If you do the math.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of them will have to pass this. They have to pass it to the customer because they cannot afford it. But at the same time, they want to keep their business running. So it's simply a risk game. I either bump up my prices, hoping that I will get a sales off of it, or I won't be able to offer this delivery service. So and which means is I may lose customers. So it's a chicken or the egg game. It's just tough right now, and that's one of the reasons why I was telling you that some of those businesses they push back because I don't want to be taken advantage of anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Right. So that's one of the challenges that I have. So we're gonna closely wrap this up. So I want to ask you, what's your favorite place here in Laguna Hills that you guys like the most?
Well, unfortunately, we won't be able to answer that question since she is the mayor elected of all residents, and I am on the board of the chamber. We represent all
Everyone,
of
okay.
everyone. But
Fair
we can
enough.
say this:
We
can-
like a lot of
A lot of
love a lot of restaurants.
Okay.
We love a lot of the stores. Here's how to answer your question.
Okay.
Anything that has Laguna Hills in front of it, either that is in the name or located in Laguna Hills, is great. I have, and I can honestly say this, not had one bad experience
I agree.
the entire time.
I agree.
And we have gone, and I probably have the record holder because I was president throughout the time. Unfortunately, the entire COVID period, I was president, and so I can tell you we ate a lot, because a lot of the facilities like the city were still closed.
Mm-hmm.
So we essentially moved. We could go from restaurant to restaurant, sometimes sitting outside. And I've seen them all. And I have to say, everyone is excellent in their own way, depending on what their offerings
Different
are.
types of cuisine.
And-
I mean, there's
and-
some good places to eat in the city.
Yeah, it
definitely.
really
Right.
is. I would encourage, check all of them out. Don't want to make favoritism, of course, but I would say that whatever you like, look it up, find out a place here in our beautiful city because it truly is worth it. And I think that people would be blessed by having eating here, and you feel like family. This old, the old show Cheers, and people felt like they belonged, and that's
Everybody
really what it
knows your
is.
name.
Yeah, right. And that's amazing. And when I met them, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm in the Midwest, not in the West Coast here.
Yeah.
Some of these places, some of these little cafes or diners, my gosh, it looks like you travel back in time. And so they're wonderful. So please visit all of them, give them your business.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we go and eat there, buy there, dine there, we help keeping them up
Eat
and
local,
hopefully
shop
have the
local.
next generation being
Laguna
able to
Hills,
enjoy
yes.
them as much as we do.
Yes.
What would be the one piece of advice you would give after your lifelong experiences you've been having so far?
To businesses or just in general?
In general.
I just think if you plant your roots in a community, we've been here 19 years, long time, you know, and before we ever had children. My oldest is 17. Plant your roots and you know, get into your community, get involved. We've been at our church, Crossline Community Church, for the same amount of time, and you'll just discover, like you mentioned several times, a lot of hidden gems.
And I would say give back to the community. If the community has been good to you, if you've been successful, get involved. So many different ways to be involved, through the Chamber of Commerce, through a museum, through a Little League, through so many different ways to volunteer. You'll meet some amazing people. Some of the best times that I've had, and I serve on many boards, statewide boards even, and countywide boards, and one of my favorite is the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce. Those are all business owners just like myself.
Yeah.
And just working with them, none of us get paid. No salary, no commissions, nothing, not even benefits or any kind. You know, I think our dues to the chamber are waived, and that, to see the level of commitment, the level of hard work, the passion, the ideas. You don't even get this in the biggest corporations, and these people are paid a ton of money to sit on these boards. And that's what I would say. Give back, and you'll find out two things: that A, you will get a lot of business back.
Yep.
People will want to work with you.
Yep.
But number two, you can never pay back what you get in friendship, in community spirit, and just in love that people have, you know, for people who are willing to give back to their community. So it's an investment that will come back, you know, as the Bible says, you know, it's an investment that will come back to you more than you can contain.
Give, and it will be given unto you.
That's right. And so that's, I would say, I would encourage everybody, take a little time and give back, and you'll see that that is priceless.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's
Thank
been
you.
amazing.
Thank
It's
you.
been
This was
awesome.
a great
Yeah,
conversation.
same here. Same here. Thank you guys so much.